Coach Marshall got up, came back to the back of the bus, and I'll never forget this. He walks back there, suit and tie, and he looks us all dead in the eye, and he goes, "We can win this MFer."
As the calendars flip to March, I can't think of a better time to do this. Because around here, you can't tell the March Madness story without Ron Baker. Ron, thanks for sitting down with us, man.
Gentlemen, it's going to be a pleasure. We're going to reminisce on some very cool times. And March is my favorite month. My mom is born in March, my little brother, and myself. So, best month of the year, some would say.
Yeah, big month for the Bakers.
No, huge.
So I wanted to start at the beginning for you. So you grew up in Utica before moving to Scott City and going to Scott City High School.
Yeah, did Utica show up on your Google Maps? Or
It took some
Yeah.
scrolling in.
Yeah.
So you're at Scott City, and we had Joe Auer in here, and he had a perspective of your recruitment process, because I want to get into that. So Coach Fiegel, who coached at Collegiate, he said he must have watched you play, and he said you were the best high school player since Maurice Evans that he had saw. Why do you think you were so under-recruited?
That's a strong statement there. Maurice Evans was probably one of the better players in Kansas at his time. I would assume Mitch said that because we were 3A at the time. Mitch Fiegel being at Collegiate, Scott City was 3A. Our team was solid as rocks, man. We had a bunch of athletes, 3-sport athletes, which I'm sure we'll get into later. I'm sure he was scouting down the road, and eventually we did meet up at state my senior year, and I'm guessing that's probably where the Mitch and Joe Auer story came from.
Damn.
Did you guys win state?
We did.
You did? That was
We-
your senior year?
Yeah, we beat Collegiate in the semis and then beat Minneapolis in the final. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep, in 2011.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did Wichita State start to get in the fold with you?
Yeah, so my junior going into senior summer went to elite camp. It was a big camp at Wichita State, and there's a bunch of high-level recruits there. Think of it as your typical recruitment camp, right? You show up, play a bunch of pickup, do some drills, pretty cut and dry. And Coach Marshall, Coach Jans, assistant coach at the time, who's at Mississippi State, fell kind of in love with what I had. And through the year, 3-sport athlete, play football, then basketball starts. I probably grew 4 inches in the 6 months prior and grew into love basketball. And about April hit, and I just knew I wanted to play basketball. And late recruit, kind of late in the year, right? Because you got to commit pretty early. And Wichita called me, and I just felt like it was probably a good decision to come here instead of the 2 other offers that I had.
Who was recruiting you?
University of Arkansas Little Rock, took a visit there, and then I took a visit to South Dakota State up north. And when you take a visit there in April, don't wear shorts and a t-shirt. it's a little chilly up there.
Was Chris Beard the coach at Arkansas Little Rock at the time?
No, he wasn't. I don't know what year you guys graduated, but I think Beard was there probably 2022, 2023.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was well after, yeah.
For some reason, I was thinking it was
Yeah.
earlier than that.
Yeah.
But you said you grew 4 inches in a short time span. I knew somebody else that grew a few inches in a short time span and didn't end up playing at Wichita State.
Yeah.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah. Wouldn't have to be your brother. Yeah, there was
So
a
you
story
grew 4 inches
so-
your senior year?
Yeah, man. So I was about 6 foot my junior year of high school, and we had a good basketball team, and all the upperclassmen, really good football players. And I don't know if you know anything about Scott City. It's like diehard football out there. It still is, which is fine. It's competitive, and you can go back to the 90s and talk about not Maurice, but D'Angelo Evans and Scott City playing football against one another. And three sport athlete, play football, get into basketball season. It's really competitive. I'm 6 foot, your typical Western Kansas athlete, right? And from the end of basketball season, I'm 6 foot. And by the time summer hits, I'm like 6'3".
What were those growing pains like?
Oh, it was fun. Osgood Slaughter. Everybody knows what Osgood Slaughter is. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. It was some growing pains physically. But that, like I said, that summer from probably June through August was probably a turning point for me. Being 6'3", that's a pretty good height for being competitive at the collegiate level for sports, any sport really, not just basketball. And that was kind of the turning thought for me. You know, basketball's reality, and let's kind of pursue it.
Who's Scott City's biggest rival? Who was your biggest rivals back then?
Back then was Ulysses. It's a Southwest Kansas town. They're in our league.
Because you don't play Dodge. They're 6 or 5 or 6A.
Yeah, you got Dodge City, Liberal, Garden City. They're in the WAC with Great Bend and Hayes. So you got those 5 bigger schools out there. And other than that, it's Goodland, Colby, Holcomb, Lakin, Ulysses, Hugoton are probably your 3, 4A schools. And they're all in our league now. But back then it was, believe it or not, back then was Larned, which is about a 2-hour drive. You ever played Tuesday night baseball and have to drive 2 hours to play on a Tuesday night and then go home?
No, but we played Liberal. We would have to drive.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how long is
No,
that.
they were in
5
our
hours
they were in
to
our
Liberal?
league. They were in our league.
Wow.
Oh, it gets better. Pratt was in our league too. So you ever have to play a Tuesday night baseball game and drive 3 hours and drive back home the next day?
Yeah, you're out there.
So there's
It's
not a lot
rural.
of rural Kansas. You got a lot of small schools.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got your WAC schools, and then there's a disperse of 3A and 4A schools. And finally, in 2010, 11, those 3A, 4A schools kind of niched up and created a league. But yeah, that's the story on that.
Damn. So you end up at Wichita State in 2011, right? Walking on.
Yep, fall of 2011.
That was a great team. That was like Greg Marshall, because they had won the NIT, I think, the year before.
Correct.
That was Greg Marshall's first really great team. I think they were 27-6, a 5 seed coming out of the Valley.
Teray Murray's team.
Yep, Trey
that's
Murray,
nice. Yep.
Stutz, Joe Ragland. Great class.
Yeah, Joe Ragland.
Yeah, lost in the first round to Shaka Smart.
Correct.
Then the VCU stuff was.
So I think one thing that I can credit my career on at Wichita State, you mentioned the NIT team. It's like late March. They're playing the NIT. WSU's calling me, Coach Marshall, Coach Jans. Hey, we'd love for you to walk on and come to Wichita State. And I'm like, okay, that's good to know. And I know I'm late in the process. We're in the middle of baseball season, mind you, at Scott City. So as a 3-sport athlete, you're just like focused in on what sport you're playing, because that's all we know. A couple weeks go by, and I'm like, oh, Wichita State just won the NIT. Like, that's significant. Boat raced Washington State with Clay Thompson.
Yeah.
Yep.
Watched that game. Ended up beating Alabama. Like, okay, definitely got my attention. Like, that's kind of cool. Going into that next year after I committed, I mentioned I credited my career on this year because I set out as a redshirt. There were 6 seniors, I believe. Trey Murray, David Kiles, Ben Smith, Garrett Stutz, and a few others. Trey Murray, you mentioned. Very competitive, as you would be if you're there for 4 years, right? And at the time, I'm just like, whoa, this is over my head. I remember calling my dad, and I'm like, yeah, these guys can play basketball. And, he's just like, yeah, hang in there, And, like, they were so competitive and always competitive. And tough draw or not, VCU is a tremendous team. But that season really projected me into the next season. That's how I kind of approached each year of my career at WSU, is Like every year was just so competitive, and Coach Marshall spearheaded that. And just, yeah, we got 6 seniors. This is our year, right? Well, the next year, probably getting into this, we brought in a few other recruits, and everybody thought it was like a rebuilding year, but it really was like a reloading year, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
Did you on your walk-on year, were you able to practice against those guys?
Absolutely. As a redshirt, you're allowed to practice. The only game I played in was against Pitt State at the beginning of the year, and it was an exhibition game. Mm-hmm. Yep.
What was it like going from, Scott City, the practices and the games from that, to then going to Wichita State and practicing against like just Teray Murray, David Kyles, those sorts of guys? Like, how did you handle that jump?
I don't know if handling it was the correct term. You just take it in spurts. Like these guys are your same height, same weight, move probably a little quicker than you. I'm a young buck. So I'm just trying to fit in. I think what helped me the most was that summer playing pickup, getting a niche for how the college games played. I mean, 3A basketball in Kansas is nowhere near Division I level. That summer we took a trip to Brazil, so we got to play against a few professional teams, and so we had 10 practices in the summer, and it kind of just made me a little more comfortable as far as like what to expect going into my collegiate career, if that makes sense.
You got to Wichita State at such a fascinating time because as an outsider, you could just see it with Marshall. When he got here, he had Clevin Hanna, first real big recruit, and they just progressively got better each year. Like the year before they won the NIT. They got to the NIT and lost. Then the year before that, they were in like the CBI. So you could just see the climb. And then once they got to the tournament, it's like, damn, we've arrived now. So then you roll into the 2012-13 season. Mm-hmm. You guys start, Malcolm Armstead transfers in. Van Fleet arrives on campus. Clay Anthony Early comes in. You guys start 9-0, I believe. And then I think lost 3 straight in the Valley and lost to Evansville twice. You had a foot injury for most of that season. And then once you came back, everything just kind of took off.
Yeah, that year, as I'm looking through my iPad here, that year was clearly very special. You mentioned going 9-0. The only reason I know it was 9-0 is because if you played 10 games, then you can't medical redshirt. So I played in the Tennessee game, which was the 9th game. I think it was the 9th game. We ended up losing. And after the game, I got this ice on my foot. And I'm like, something ain't right. Something's not adding up here. Heard it. Find out stress fracture, navicular stress fracture. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but it's basically like if you look at your hand, it's the bottom bone that connects to your ankle. It's one of like the toughest rehab bones in your body because it doesn't get a lot of blood flow. And our athletic trainer, Todd Fagan, broke the news to me. I'm like, shoot. So you're telling me last year I redshirted and 9 games in now, I got an injury that's going to sit me out for 11 weeks. Tough to hear, but at the same time, you look through the schedule, and thankfully the Valley was competitive and came back at a unique time, and we were able to put together a nice little run.
Nice little might be.
I'd call
might be shortchanging it some.
Yeah, that Tennessee game, I'm pretty sure it's 10 games at the time. I think we might have been 8-0 or 9-0. But that Tennessee game, there's a nice little highlight. I don't know if you guys remember Josh Richardson. Played a nice little stint in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Him and I got in like a little box out battle. And I boxed him out, but then he started boxing me out. And then I ended up, last thing I know, kind of near our bench. And as I landed, I was like, my ass doesn't hurt, but my foot does. And that was just kind of the spearhead of that injury for sure.
God. So you came back at the beginning of the conference tournament, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And they just plugged you right back in. Was there a minutes restriction or anything? They just plugged you right back in.
So with the navicular, they call it a stress reaction. So my bone wasn't completely fractured, but it was irritated. So I was in a boot for 6 weeks on crutches. And then the next 5 weeks, we kind of made a plan to rehab a little bit. And Coach Jans really pushed for me to come back for that tournament. And probably 2 weeks-ish before that tournament, I started running, progressing, playing a little 3-on-3, 5-on-5 here and there. And the Valley tournament's always a week prior than most conference tournaments, and was able to sneak in there and play some minutes. And it was kind of like riding a bike. It sounds crazy, but the prep prior got me right and had a nice little tournament there in St. Louis.
We didn't win that year, though, did we?
No, we didn't.
Was it
I don't
Northern
know if-
Iowa?
The only year
Good
we
guess. Try
Thank
again.
you.
Creighton. The only year
Creighton was it? Man,
Yeah, the
I
only
get my times mixed up. I can't remember
You
when
guys
Creighton
might have-
left.
You guys
and-
might have forgot Creighton was 12th in the country, led by
Doug
Doug
McDermott.
McDermott. Yeah.
They had other
He
good
was kinda-
players too.
Yeah. He
Kill
was
Cotton
pretty
used to
good.
go to war with Doug McDermott.
Yeah, or at least he tried to.
Yes,
Yeah.
he did
Yeah.
try to.
Yeah,
God, he was a bucket. He lived up
Oh,
to his
man.
name. He was a bucket.
he was.
Yeah, that tournament was special for me just because it was my first. I'd never been to the Missouri Valley tournament other than sitting out the year before. Year before we lost to Illinois State on a close semifinal matchup, I believe.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was in the building for that one.
Yeah, it's a fun building to be in. It's fun. You see all the colors around the arena.
Yeah,
The Valley tournament's a lot of fun. But yeah, that year I think we beat Missouri State and then Illinois State in the semis. And then I think against Creighton, we probably put about 6 to 7 guys on Doug McDermott, and it just wasn't working.
So I want to talk about that tournament run. So you guys dropped Pittsburgh in the first round as a 9 seed.
Steven Adams.
Yeah, Steven Adams.
Sure enough.
Mike Kennedy told us a story of him going on Pittsburgh radio the week before that game to build it up. I think they wanted to just know kind of what Wichita State was about. Mm-hmm. And they gave him some snarky interview, like they were looking past it. Like they were looking past Mike. And Mike said something, I forget what they asked. I'm not doing any justice, but he was like, the way this interview is going, looks like your team's going to look past us as well. And sure enough, you guys blew them away.
You know, a guy that's in the business for 46 years, I would imagine he probably knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
The thing with Pittsburgh was they were top 4 or 5 in the ACC or Big East at the time. I'm not sure what conference, but they had a senior guard that was stellar.
Trey Woodall.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And when I say stellar, we also had a kid named Kel Cotton that was also very stellar. And the handcuffs were put on pretty early in that game. And we played well. We just did what we were coached to do, defensive rebounding, a.k.a. Coach Marshall's philosophy. And that game got out of hand pretty quick, and we kind of just controlled it from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
As fans, we appreciated that.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't have to sweat that one.
I got to ask you, so you both are from Wichita. So, like, growing up, watching Wichita State, you've seen the Sweet 16 in person, watching on the TV, or maybe you were there. What does it mean to you when Wichita State wins a tournament game?
Everything, really. Like, it's so huge for the city.
Yeah.
It's huge. When Wichita State's good, it's so huge for bars and restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
It really has an impact on local business, I think.
Community driver.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, we see our family more, I think, when Wichita State is good. Like our cousins and our aunts and uncles, just because we're getting together for games. Like, you know, it in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter. But it kind of does in a way too. Like really,
Sure.
because we get to see people, we go places, it's the only show in town. We're not, you're not in Kansas City. We don't have the Chiefs and the Royals. Like it's Wichita State.
Yeah.
And so, it's pretty awesome when you guys win.
In 2006, I remember going to the airport. The airport was swamped for when the team came back after beating Tennessee. Mm-hmm. It was a madhouse. It's back when Mid-Continent was just one lane.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a madhouse of fans chanting, "Let's go Shockers," and all that stuff. It really matters to Wichita. Winning tournament games, it's something, man.
It's probably a buzz that, as a fan, I've never experienced.
Yeah.
But hearing that from you, that's reassuring because I live here now and I'm hoping for that in the future.
Especially when they win 2 and you get the entire week to
Yes.
just consume,
Yeah.
I never
consume
thought
the
about that.
media.
Yeah.
If you make it past the first weekend, that next week is just the greatest thing.
Yeah.
It's just gravy.
Yeah. Saturday or Sunday to that next Thursday is just a vibe.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's
There's
the
only
best.
16 teams left, and
Right.
you're one of them.
Yeah.
What's it like as the player?
You're just probably caught up in the moment, at least in my time frame. I probably didn't know better. I think you got to credit our coaching staff to literally being dialed in. Holy moly. Just dialed in.
Because you only have one day or one day of prep to
Man.
play the round of 32.
In 2013, when we got to the NCAA tournament, let's call it mid-March, I maybe was in Wichita 10 toes down 8 days, maybe, in a 3 to call it 4 week stint. So like you're just moving, like you're getting to the next side on Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on when you play. So when I say you're locked in, like there's a reason you're going there that early because that's how important those games are.
Yeah.
So as a player, just like it's hard to that's just what we're here to do is play basketball, and we're in the moment.
Did you get nervous before games, like in general?
Man. I got Pittsburgh pulled up on my iPad. That next game,
Go ahead and
Gonzaga.
scroll to Gonzaga.
that Gonzaga game, we left the hotel, and I think I called probably 5 people before the game. High school coach, junior high coach, mom, dad, uncle. You're just like calling them.
This is
Like,
it here.
I might not see you tomorrow, I guess.
It's going
I
down.
don't know
Yeah.
what's going on right now, but we won our first game. Did you guys know that? And they're like, yeah, son, you play in 90 minutes. Like, is everything okay? You need something? I'm like, no, I'm just calling to check in. Nervous, for sure.
And then when the game starts, does it leave, or is it like after you hit your first basket, you're like, all right, here we go?
When tip hits,
Yeah.
it's all out. It's gone. Yeah.
That Gonzaga
And
team. is
that
loaded.
credit for that is just to how well we practice and prepped, right? You can be nervous for a final, you can be nervous for your next job, but as long as you're prepped and prepared, once it starts, you're just ready to rock and roll.
That Gonzaga team was so loaded. Kelly Olynyk, Kevin Pangos, great college player. David Stockton, Elias Harris. All those guys come to mind. Remember them all. They were all great players and a great team. You had some huge baskets in the second half, late. I remember 3 in the corner. I think we were down 4. It was 61-57, I think is what it was. You hit a 3 to cut it to 61-60. And then you hit another one. And Fred hit a big one too.
Clee Anthony hit a
The
big one.
big shot making at the end of that game was crazy.
Yeah, I'd have to research a little bit. Mind you, it's 2026, so that was a few years ago. But I believe after the 8-minute timeout, there were 6 possessions. I don't know what Gonzaga did, but we scored 5 of them. And I'm not good at math, but with a 30-second shot clock, that starts to add up pretty quick, and that's how you get back into games, and that's how you win games.
Amazing. What was that feeling like when the clock hit 0 and sending WSU back to the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2006?
Numb. Numb. Just literally numb.
Dickie V called it.
Man.
Yeah, he did before the day before. He said Wichita State is going to upset Gonzaga.
Oh, I remember
Yeah,
that.
he did. I think he projected us to make a run. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Buzzer sounds, throw my arms in the air. Zach Bush, who I believe was on the show with you guys.
Friend of the program.
We were AAU teammates back in high school. Just like walking towards him, and he's like all fired up, and I'm like, sure. Like, yeah, give me a hug. And then after that, quick interview with CBS. Again, I mentioned you're just locked in. You're kind of puzzled. You win, and like, all right, let's go back to the locker room. But no, it was like a complete celebration on the court. Remember crawling in the stands, giving my mom a hug. Like that, I mean, that in itself is a Final Four run for me, being where I'm from and the sacrifice your parents make. Go on and on about that. But finally making it back to the locker room, and you're just like, holy shit, we're going to go back to the hotel, sleep, get on a plane, and yeah, we're heading to L.A. on Tuesday.
How do you sleep after that?
You don't.
I bet. Yeah. What was what's the locker room like after that? Just celebratory? I mean, we'll worry about the Sweet 16 tomorrow.
Yeah, 13 years ago, it's hard to think back on that. Yeah, definitely happy, glad, a lot of pictures, a couple boosters in there celebrating. Coach Marshall's ecstatic. All the staff's is ecstatic because they know college basketball better than we do. And I think at the time they probably realized what we accomplished. Like, that doesn't come around maybe once or twice in a college coach's career. Ecstatic, get on the bus. I remember driving back to our hotel, and you mentioned celebratory. Yeah, we were celebrating and happy like we won. It's not that we thought that we were going to win, but we won, and it's just like, all right. Going onward type of vibe. I don't know. It was kind of strange. And then Coach Marshall got up, came back to the back of the bus, and I'll never forget this. He walks back there, suit and tie, and he looks us all dead in the eye, and he goes, "We can win this, MFer." And told us that. And like, every time I tell that story, it gives me chills. You're just like, okay, head of the snake says that. He got us here, so like, he's probably right. And sure as hell, he wasn't wrong. We definitely had a chance, you know?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is. Who was as a player, who was the leader on that team? You would think Fred, but he was just a little freshman at the time.
Fred was pretty young.
Malcolm and Carl Hall, I think, were seniors.
Man, I ain't going to lie, we were pretty dysfunctional. We had a pretty tough year. You mentioned leaders. It was kind of collective. I'd say Carl at times, going what he went through the year before with his injury to his thumb. He's a different basketball player that I've probably ever played against, or played with, I should say. Competitive, kind of strange spoken, but like his actions spoke pretty well for himself. Malcolm was just a straight hooper. Like, you didn't want to play that cat in one-on-one because you get pissed and probably fight you. So those two seniors were incredible. It just so happens that they recruited them kind of in the same year with myself. And I think that's just kind of how college basketball flows. When you can pair guys like those two together. But it was kind of a collective synergy when it comes to leadership. Man, our staff was incredible that year. If you look at all the coaches that we had on staff, they did the best they could to kind of corral us, and definitely had a come to Jesus meeting. Not that we were in trouble, but they just sat us down in the multi-purpose gym there at Coke and just like, guys, like, you guys are good. Like, if we can all lock in and do the little things, defense, rebound, execute plays, keep the game simple, like, we're going to be a problem. And I remember that meeting like it was yesterday. So as far as leaders go, definitely a few of them, but it was very collective leadership that year, in my opinion.
And to have a guy like Takeo Cotton who can just make life hell for the other team's best scorer is, yeah, because he didn't always fill the box score, but he was just so good at that, and that was such a crucial thing to the team. I mean, what we said about Trey Woodall. I mean, he just put him in prison for 40 minutes.
Yeah, imagine being on scout team and having to deal with him every single day. I only mention that because probably one of the better teammates I've ever had in years. All of my years playing basketball. Best human being you could ever think of. But playing against that dude every day was a struggle. But made you better.
Yeah.
And our coaching staff put us in those situations year in and year out. And Takeo Cotton, man, we were recruited in the same recruiting class, lived in the dorms together, watched him grow as a player, really struggled from three his freshman year when Evan, Wessel, and I were sitting out. Really struggled. Next year, kind of struggling a little bit. And then, man, he blossomed. Key piece to that run, no question. When you can have myself, Fred, two ball handlers, if you can add a third ball handler in college basketball, you're going to be a tough team to beat. And Takel was a major, major piece of not only my basketball career at Wichita State, but my career in life. Like, tremendous human.
He was such a fan favorite, too. I thought he had NBA written all over him. He was so good.
By far the most athletic basketball player I've ever been around.
There
So
were
not
some
only
Showtime
person
dunks.
and
Huge dunks.
off-ball player, like, man, just an incredible athlete, soft-spoken, do anything for you, do anything for your family. Just a tremendous dude from Atlanta that bought into the culture Coach Marshall instilled, and I'm sure Wichita's by far is, Wichita's definitely is home. Definitely is home. Like, that kid is, I can't even put into words how much that kid means to me.
How awesome. So you move on to the Sweet 16. Cruise through LaSalle. Another thank you as a fan. That was a pretty easy one. And then you get Ohio State in the Elite Eight.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Kraft.
His 8th year.
Yeah. Seemed like he was in college for a long time.
I don't know. A lot of people say that about me too. So
Yes, they do.
You got to be careful.
I don't know. I hear about Aaron Kraft and Perry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Maybe I'm the third one on the list.
I think it's a badge of honor though, because that means you've been seen. You know, if Wichita State wasn't making tournaments, no one gives a crap about you.
Sure.
Versus they've seen you in the tournament 4 straight years. Like, God damn, this guy's been in the NCAA for a decade.
And you were good at a young age. That's how people stick around.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
like, God, he's been around forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was really good as a freshman.
They either love watching you play or they're tired of watching you play.
Bingo.
And you know what? Both's probably not too bad. But
Means you're doing
mentioned-
something right.
You mentioned the LaSalle game. So they were
They
12
beat
or
K-State.
13, 12 or 13 seed. And again, I mentioned we're kind of locked in the moment. Don't really know who we're going to play next. I remember looking back on the bracket. Ole Miss beat, I'm not sure who. It might have been K-State. Or LaSalle beat K-State. The 12 and the 13 both won in that side of the bracket, I'm pretty sure. And Marshall Henderson, if you remember,
The land shark.
was the Ole Miss player. But I really wanted to play K-State. when I look back on it, I'm like, man, that'd have been cool to catch a hometown school. Scott City loves K-State, man. Western Kansas would have been great to play them. I think it was LaSalle that clipped them. But LaSalle was good. They weren't very deep. They had like 6 or 7 guys on their roster. Played hard. But then again, that's kind of our motto. So that it was like the perfect matchup. Everybody talks about matchups in
There it is.
NCAA tournament.
Ole Miss beat Wisconsin. Ole Miss was
Yeah,
the 12, and then
absolutely.
LaSalle was a 13, beat K-State as a 4.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a 12-13 game. That was in Kansas City.
Sure was.
K-State lost to LaSalle in Kansas City.
Yep.
Not good, K-State.
K-State at 4 seed. They had a nice season.
But like I said, LaSalle matchup against us, it was just too, not necessarily grimy. We could probably score it a little better than them, but they were tough nosed. They played hard. Their coach had them, call it dialed in. They were a good team, but they only had like 6 guys, and they kind of fit what our style of play was for. And then you want to go into Ohio State.
Oh, yeah. Got to.
Yeah, Aaron Kraft and I had probably 10 years of service in college.
I remember Wichita State getting off to a great start, and then I can't remember if it was injuries or foul trouble. Clay Anthony Early and Carl Hall both got taken off the floor at the same time, and then Ohio State mounted a nice comeback.
Mm-hmm. Earlier I mentioned coming from Scott City to Wichita State, playing against Trey, David Kiles, Joe Ragland, and that was very eye-opening. We beat LaSalle at the Staples Center. And after the game, we went and we watched the first half of Ohio State, Arizona. There were some trees on the court. And I was like, whoa, these are some pretty good athletes out there, not to mention a couple 7-footers, the Big Ten Player of the Year. Okay. All right. We're going to go to practice tomorrow. We're going to tie them up just like they are, and we'll get to it. But that game was pretty special to me. It was on March 30th. Mentioned March birthdays. That's my birthday. And yeah, man, we were grooving, just played solid, went on a, like you said, a big run in the first half. And they were lost. I don't know if they had seen any defensive pressure that we applied to them that day all year. But Elite Eight game, they come on back and make it close. And Tikel, Fred, some of the younger guys kind of stepped in and made some clutch plays down the stretch.
I remember Tikel hitting that 3 on the wing. Well, probably with a couple minutes left, that seemed to almost seal it. That's probably one of the biggest shots in program history.
Yeah, anytime you can make a shot to win, that's pretty fun. But when you can just like put the nail in the coffin against a team that's at that caliber, that's been there, done that motto, bang, see you later.
Right.
That's a different type of energy. When you made that, just remember, I can picture it on TV. Of course, our crowd's right behind our bench, like all the black and yellow in Staples Center erupted. And it was just like, holy shit. We're going to the Final Four.
Amazing. Mike Kennedy had a legendary call after that game. He said, "Ladies and gentlemen, say it slowly and savor it. Wichita State is heading to the Final Four for the first time in 48 years." What a moment.
Man, if only Mike would have started 10 years sooner, he could have called that game too.
Right.
Don't tell him I said that. Man, yeah. cool moment. Staples Center did a tremendous job. We won. A bunch of our family and friends came out on the court. And when things go full circle in life, you feel it. After the game, my two siblings, Sloan and Audrey, of course, were there. My parents were the only two that came out on the court, and just on center court at Staples Center, which we all know where that is, and know how it got built and know who played there. And my parents and I just hugged on the center court. Somebody got a picture of it, and then Sports Illustrated a few months later in June said Happy Father's Day. And it was a picture of my dad and I getting a hug.
Wow.
And then as a young kid, you're like, all right, yeah, that's great, cool. But as a 32-year-old now, you look back on it and you're like, you start to understand kind of what your family means to you and what your parents did for you, what your grandparents did for you, the sacrifices. And that picture is just instilled in my head. Like, yeah, my parents are happy for me in the moment. Just like, yeah, thanks. Like, we got to go to Atlanta, you know? But you reminisce on it now and you're like, holy crap.
How did your parents handle the run? Were they nervous wrecks, or were they more calm and cool?
That's a good question. My dad and mom played college sports. My mom played softball and basketball at St. Mary's in the Plains, and my dad played baseball at Fort Hays. So they know the competitiveness. They know the history of K-State, KU, WSU. Not every sport, but the sports that made runs or were significant in their era. So, like, nervous wreck, dad for sure. Like, don't talk to him. Don't sit by him. Where's the top seat at Staples Center? Mom, though, cool as a cucumber, man. She'll sit with anybody, understands the game like the back of her hand. Nervous? No. Because I think she just trusted her son is where he needs to be and kind of let the chips fall. But dad was notorious for being in the stands like this. Nervous. Don't talk to anybody.
Oh, that's how I'd be.
Yeah. Oh, I can't
Watching my
imagine.
son,
Yeah.
I would be a nervous. I wouldn't enjoy it. Wouldn't enjoy it till the end.
Yeah. Quick story. So, to explain my dad's nerves, he mentioned Mitch Fiegel and high school state basketball. Scott City, tremendous run in like 06. They won 4A state basketball, and then pretty good at football from there and still are. But there was a lull from 06 to 11. In 2011, I'm a senior, and my dad, he's not the one he'll coach you. But as a stubborn high school kid, I'm not the one to listen, right? I always listen to mom. And thankfully, they're both students of the game. But every game, college or high school, I'd always like look in the crowd during warm-ups and find my parents. Like, hey, where are you guys sitting? Like, you know, one of those deals. My senior year, we get to the state tournament. In the first round, we play Riverton. I look up there and, yep, find dad, find mom. All's good. Get to the semis against collegiate. Solid team. Find mom. Is everything okay? No dice. Can't find dad. I'm like, okay. We win by 3, I think. And then the next game we play Minneapolis against Grayson George. Really good player. I think he eventually walked on to Oklahoma State. Warming up. You know, it's Saturday at like 5 o'clock. Like, you know, parents are going to be sitting together in the crowd, right? Look up. Just mom. I'm like, okay. Years later, we ended up winning state. Victory, blah, blah, blah. Years later, we're like playing cards, and somebody called my dad out on the situation, and my mom's like, your dad was so damn nervous during those games. No one knew where he was. And he's like, yeah, I was in the coffin corner doing this. And any big game at Wichita State, he'd be in his seat, but he wouldn't talk to nobody. He would just sit there and kind of follow the game, student of the game, not say a lick to anybody. So yeah, definitely nervous.
That's how I'd be.
Oh,
I can tell.
That leads us to the biggest game of them all. You're in the Final Four.
Man.
You're walking out, taking the floor in the Georgia Dome. What was that like? Because
Jim Nance.
the Final Four being at football stadiums is such a strange thing because the court compared to an NFL-sized stadium is so small. When you walked on the floor and just kind of looked around, what were you thinking?
Just in awe, honestly. People talk about the perception of the goal and the stadium. I couldn't tell much of a difference. We got there on Monday or Tuesday, and we didn't play till Saturday, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm not sure. But we were on the court at least twice prior to game time. I do remember during that game sitting on the bench. You're like looking up in the Georgia Dome, and there's humans up in the very top that I know they're there, but they're not moving. Like there's 60, 70,000 people watching the game. Incredible atmosphere. Mind you, it was the first Final Four in my lifetime that I didn't watch because you're playing in it. Mm-hmm. So just a surreal feeling in the moment as a player, just like kind of trying to tell yourself this is just another game, but like this is the Mecca. The world is watching. You kind of know it, but
you don't want to get lost in that, though.
No, and I don't think any Final Four player will ever get lost in the atmosphere you're in.
Right.
Still the same length of court, same 10-foot rim, but just a surreal atmosphere.
Had to be pretty surreal getting your name called in the starting lineup, probably as a 19-year-old kid, by Jim Nance.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt to have that on the resume.
No.
I might have to put that on there. Yeah, again, first Final Four you haven't watched in person because you're playing in it. CBS on the call. Will Ferrell walking down the sideline. I mean, just a unique opportunity, and Final Fours just don't come around very often. And at the time, you don't understand that until you grow older, as I am now. But man, not to mention that stadium's no longer there, so it's kind of something you just have in your back pocket and live to tell the tale, I guess.
What a great game that was. Back and forth. Damn it, man.
Damn it is right. Damn it is right.
Damn it.
Man, if you're going to lose to a team that year, that was by far the team to lose to. They were a special talent, and that was probably the first game of the year where we like kind of strategically changed up our defense. Not a ton, but like when you have Peyton Siva and Russ Smith on your team, kind of turn your focus to them, and those two were incredible that game. They made the right plays, and not to mention some kids made some really big time shots against us, and that's just how the cookie crumbles.
I saw, actually not too long ago, I saw Luke Hancock working for the ACC network on
he's
TV.
on the network, yeah.
I had to get up and
Just
leave the room.
Oh man, yeah.
I had to leave the room. Like
That Louisville team, they just had the perfect mix. Perfect mix. Good guard play. It seemed like they always had a big or two that were just nails. Mm-hmm. Competitive rim protectors.
They were a one
And
seed,
two-
weren't they?
Yeah. And to be honest, the kind of what they were putting on the court is what we had too that year. So again, perfect matchup for us. They just played a really unique style offense. They put shooters in the corners. Their guards were just elite, as were ours. But lose by 4, and just how it goes.
Was that tie up a foul? Were you fouled?
I don't know if it was a foul or not. That's not for me to judge, but it definitely wasn't a jump ball. If that helps you sleep tonight,
It does.
you can thank me. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Finally, I could sleep after 13 years.
Man, we should have done this podcast
Finally sleep well.
3 to 5 years ago.
What a run,
Yeah.
though, man.
Yep, that was fun, man. The media at the Final Four is first class. Picture like a convention center, just full of media here, pep rallies. Every school's got their thing going on. After the game, I remember just like sitting kind of in a high-rise podium like you'll see in any Final Four or NCAA game now. And just surreal, man. Like, you're given a presser for the Final Four, and they're like asking you about stuff, and of course you lose, and you're not really sure what to even say, try to say the right things. But there was a media person that asked me, so was that a jump ball? And I was like, I think something along the lines. I was like, no, definitely wasn't. Just really wish the best players on the court could have had a chance to determine the game. Yep.
Yeah, it was tough.
Nevertheless,
Yeah.
man, unbelievable run.
Oh, my
Oh.
goodness.
What
Did
you
you-
guys did
Yeah.
for Wichita is just
Yeah. Did you have a whole bunch of friends and extended family come down for that?
Yeah, a bunch of my family friends from Scott City flew in for it. My high school coach, assistant high school coach, and then a few families from Scott City came to the Ohio State game. So after we won that, I was texting my high school coach after the game, like, thanks for coming. Like, who would have thought a high school coach in Scott City was going to be showing up to a game in Staples Center and watching one of his ex-players play.
What an
That-
incredible
that was
experience for
that was
your day one people.
just a cool moment for him and I. But yeah, there was quite a few Scott City folks that traveled and made the trip. A bunch of my mom's side of the family out in Topeka came down, and then, believe it or not, a few folks from Utica even made the trip. So yeah.
half the town was
Pretty-
empty.
Oh yeah, dude, you could have robbed that place blind.
That's hilarious. So you guys come back in 2014 and reload. Go undefeated. There's a game that sticks out in the regular season, and it's Missouri State on the road. What do you recall about that game?
Being down 19 at half, and it's the calmest I've ever seen Greg Marshall in my life.
No kidding.
Yep. Super calm. Stick to the script. And that was it. Then we just went out there, and I believe we're down 21 with like 11-ish minutes to go. Nuts.
What a comeback.
Yeah.
To keep an undefeated season alive.
Yep. Yeah, in those moments, man, and there was quite a few of them. When you're in those situations, you just kind of, you can call it blackout, and just you keep playing hard, and things kind of go your way. You hit shots. But the thing with all 4 years I was there, like defense and rebounding, if you can hold teams to not scoring and score, like that's the name of the game, right?
Bingo.
And we kind of did that pretty well the last 10 minutes of that game. And those fans were kind of sour after that one.
What was it like during that run, and even the other years too, on the road in the Valley, where WSU has all this hype, all this fame from tournament success, especially you. I bet you heard some wild things on the road. But what was it like going on the road to Bradley, to Drake, to Southern Illinois, where this is their Super Bowl? And they're going to have more fans there than they have had in years against you guys, and you have to bring it every single time because it is their Super Bowl.
Yeah, the 13-14 season, like going on the road, you could tell every single auditorium, stadium, arena was promoting for that game. And I enjoyed it, man. I love chaos, operating chaos. I love full arenas, especially in the Valley, because historically the Valley at the time was competitive and we kind of invited it. Most sports, everybody always says, like, well, when you lose, you learn. That was kind of unique for us that year because we didn't do that. We didn't lose. So it's like, all right, guys, we're down 21 with 11 minutes to go against Missouri. Like, let's not let that happen again. So, like, how are we going to learn from this? And, of course, winning solves everything. But, man, going on the road to even, like, Evansville, Loyola was so fun. Cracker Jack Box, Arena, Drake was great. Some of those places had that, like, old high school feel to them because they're just packed and everybody wanted to see the hot ticket in town. And that year, especially, like, going on the road was just, you didn't feel like a rock star because we were playing basketball and we wanted to compete and play hard and obviously win, but it just felt like every time you stepped on the court, like the whole arena was just, dang, that's the number 2 team in the country. Like, wow.
The tension always seemed especially high against Illinois State whenever going there. It always seemed like, I remember Dan Mullen and Marshall, they had some back and forth. It always seemed like it was really intense there.
At Illinois State, always intense. They had a associate head coach, Dana Ford, who was our assistant my first year at WSU, and he left and went to Illinois State to be the associate head coach. Might have been some tension between him and GM, but their teams were elite. Like, they had high-level players, JUCO transfers, always played so hard. If I had to say, between them and Northern Iowa are probably 2 of the toughest opponents in the Valley when I was in my 4-year tenure. And playing at Illinois State was just all red, hostile. Had a good student section because they got football there. They got a good student presence. And every game there was just like you just knew what you were signing up for.
Were they always kind to you, though?
Oh, yeah, every day. Every day. Every day that starts with Y.
Oh, man. Some of the things you probably heard on the road. You could write a book.
5th grade haircut. G League talent. Yeah. I heard quite a few of it. But that year, they stopped talking once the 4-minute TV timeout stopped,
Yeah.
Yes.
Marshall always said, pull the fire alarm. Everybody's leaving. We did that a lot that year.
I remember TKL having a monster dunk there.
On an inbounds pass. Was it that year?
He had a monster dunk against Illinois State at Illinois State. I remember Shane Dennis and Bruce Hurdle losing their mind on the call.
That was the undefeated season. Illinois State, I mentioned super athletic. They always played this like gimmick zone because they're long, stringy, had a good center, and they were just trying to. Most people play zone because they can't guard you, right? And I had the ball kind of at the top of the key and took a little back cut. And when you do one of those, you know hell's coming with it. And Tikel hit his head on the backboard and dunked it.
Wow.
I told you, probably one of the best human athletes I've ever seen in sneakers.
I believe it.
Incredible.
How about that windmill against Northern Iowa
yeah.
on game day? Oh,
yeah,
here you go.
Yeah, that's it. Spin
Rewind that thing,
Yeah,
boy.
spin that back. Nice pass.
Oh, man. That's beautiful. And you guys were taking it to him. Yeah. Fire alarm had been pulled.
Doink.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a monster dunk.
Wow. Yeah, I've never hit my head on the backboard, but...
Me either, if you can believe it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody in the stadium thought that was possible, but...
Amazing.
Zakel was notorious for doing silly things like that. You mentioned the windmill against you and I.
Game day.
That was kind of late in Zakel's senior year. Fred and I were still juniors. But Zakel always wanted to, like, do some freaky dunks in game. But he just never had the stones to do it. And you might pull that clip up. I'm pretty sure somebody, it could have been me, I have to reminisce, but somebody gets a rebound and tosses it to Fred. And Fred just football passes it down the court. Mm-hmm. And Zakel catches it, and all hell broke loose. Probably a top 3 loudest moment in Coke Arena that I've ever stood foot in.
It was.
I think I blacked out.
Yeah. Great. I remember watching the video. Marshall left his feet.
Yeah.
He jumped.
Yeah.
Never seen that before.
Man. He got about 10% as high as Zakel did.
Yeah. So you guys finished that season 31-0. We've got the picture behind us. Mm-hmm. Coke Arena, just an awesome picture of Coke Arena. Win the Valley tournament. That's I think the only time I had seen the Shockers win the Valley tournament. And Jake Odom made it as tough as possible. Talk about a great player at Indiana State.
Dude, that year Indiana State, they were solid. Really good matchup. They had all the pieces. Probably should have made the tournament. They slipped up, I think, in a couple games throughout the year, but that was always the challenge for us, that undefeated year. I remember we're undefeated, and they came to Coke, and it has got to be a couple possession game, and we go on a little run, and somebody scores, and I remember being at center court, and that might be the loudest I think I've heard Coke Arena, because I think the atmosphere and our fan base, great fans, they know the game, they know what's on the line. Knew Indiana State was the only team that could probably match up with us, and that place just went nuts. That and game day, probably top 2 or 3 loudest.
Yeah, college game day was such a unique experience to go to. Seth
Stephen A.
Tuttle
Smith
was so good. Northern Iowa was loaded.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, here's the windmill.
Yeah, 10 versus 11. Wow.
Football. Oh my gosh, that's violent.
Unbelievable in-game dunker.
Yes.
Yeah, when you have a 45-inch vertical, dunking becomes a little easier when you're 6'2".
Yeah.
I'm not a scientist, but I think that's kind of how it works.
I think it's even more spectacular because he's 6'2".
Oh, man.
So you guys go 34-0 heading into the NCAA tournament. Win the first round against Cal Poly. And then drew Kentucky in what a lot of people think is one of the top 10 great college basketball games of all time. We were in the building for that. What a great game that was. Another damn it.
Yeah, that one's in the back of the mind. I think the cool thing was you probably went to the conference tournament championship, I'm going to assume, which was in St. Louis. And then the next week you turn around and we're back there. So as a Shocker fan, not too bad of a trip. It's kind of our home territory, if you think about it. Play really well first round. Again, you're rooting for K-State to win against Kentucky because I'm a hometown Kansas kid.
And that was a close game, I think.
And it was. It was reasonable. And, man, Kentucky by far the best, other than the next year, by far the best freshman, sophomore class Cal's probably had in his tenure. Mm-hmm. And March Madness is about catching the spark at the right time. And they had some pretty bad losses throughout the year. So them being an 8 is what it is. If we could have beat them, if, right?
Right.
Sure.
If you want to win the whole thing, you got to beat them all. So everybody always brings out the Kentucky game, how we got a bad draw. And yeah, but the year before we got a good draw, So it don't really sting with me from that aspect. But that team was incredible, and that game was nuts. You pull that up on YouTube, and it'll put a fire under your ass. That game was incredible.
Yeah, you had a great game, and Cleanthony early jumped off the screen.
Yep.
I think he had 31 points on 17 shots.
Yep.
I think you had 20.
Yep.
Man.
Yep.
Did you try to bank that 3 in?
No, absolutely not. No.
Just making sure.
As I went up, I think it was one of the Harrison twins, tapped my elbow and put it online. And that's when I called bank.
Great shot nonetheless.
Hey, man.
Yeah, needed it.
That's how it goes.
Still counts for 3.
Yeah.
We needed
That's
that.
why there's a backboard there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that last ended up being a great look at it? Was that last play design drawn up for Cleanthony?
Sure was.
It was?
Yep. It was a late game play. Practiced it all year. First option was Clee. I was a second option. And then give your head of the snake, Fred the ball, and go make a play. Yep.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Man, great team. The 2 Cleanthony years were extraordinary. He was such a unique college scorer. God. Bob Lutz actually posted a question, which we'll get into the current team. He posted a question the other day after the WSU Memphis game last week. He said, Kenyon Giles is the most prolific Wichita State scorer since who? I thought about it. And Cleanthony early, he said Kenyon Giles is the most prolific shocker scorer since who? Like he was proposing the question to everybody else. And I was thinking about it. And I'm like, and all I could think about was Cleanthony early. I kept coming back to him.
I mean, I have to throw Landry Shaman in there.
He was good too. I thought about
Yeah.
him as well. And
Yeah.
Colby Rogers had a great stint
Yeah.
with WSU too, but I just kept
Could be
thinking,
wrong, but Giles broke
Colby.
Colby's record for most threes in a year. I would say Colby was a good 3-point assassin, you could say. He wasn't as good off the dribble as Kenyon is. But Landry was with a team that made him able to score as well. Only as good as the 4 guys around you. Team sport, but Landry, man, he could score when needed, for sure. That would be my answer to that.
Not a bad answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a great player. Then 2015 rolls around. It's crazy, all the huge games every year. It's like, wow. Okay, 2015 rolls around. Selection Sunday. Coming off college game day, the conference tournament. Selection Sunday. The 4 quad has Wichita State and Kansas. And that's obviously what everybody was thinking about here. It's like, wow, if these two both win, we're going to see the game. We're going to see it finally happen. And sure enough, you guys beat Indiana. I forget who KU beat. But you guys meet in Omaha. And Joe Auer, I asked Joe Auer, I was like, Joe, how was that? So you coached Evan and Perry.
Oh, he was conflicted for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you handle it? He's like, well, I forget exactly what he said, but he was torn.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Yeah. How was that game for you?
Man, a lot of emotions. I grew up in Western Kansas, loved K-State football, and was a diehard KU basketball fan. Like, I grew up watching Kirk Heinrich play, cried going to bed as an eight-year-old when Syracuse beat him. And, like, that was my team. And coming to Wichita State, everybody gets into the RPI, and they're like, why doesn't KU, K-State, WSU play each other? And in the back of my mind, I was like, there's no way we're ever going to cross paths. And you mentioned the Selection Sunday. sitting in the Champions Club at Coke Arena, and I'm pretty sure 10 or 7 comes first, whichever one, and it's Indiana and us. And I'm like, damn, that's kind of a tough draw, drawing Indiana with Yogi Ferrell and Troy Williams on their team. I'm like, damn. I'm like, oh, wait, that matches up with the 2. And in my gut, I'm like, there's no way in hell they're going to do this. Bang, KU. And everybody in the Champions Club was like, oh. And I was just like, okay. Definitely in the back of my mind, like, let's get to Saturday or Sunday, whatever day it was. I'm like, we got to get to that game. Beat Indiana. Tough game. That team was incredible. Warming up against KU, in the back of my mind, I'm just like, you just start like reminiscing as a kid, all this KU stuff. My uncle lives in Kansas City. He would always bring me each year's KU poster. I'd put it on my wall. You just get like flashbacks of that. And I'm like, here we are, playing in the game. Again, you find your parents in the crowd. There's a couple highlights. I like make a 3 or make a basket, and KU calls timeout, and I'm just like staring at my parents. I'm like, yeah, this is what they're going to get. Like, from Kansas. Everybody in the arena knows I'm from Kansas. This is the kid KU missed out on. Like, that was kind of the story. And again, perfect matchup for us. Like, they didn't like our physicalness. Evan had a great game. Zach Brown played hard as hell. Fred and I were solid. Perry, thank God, was banged up. But winning that, like, that's a top win in my lifetime, for sure.
What a moment for Evan. Hitting 4 threes. What a time to do that.
What a time is right. Evan had a unique year that year. He kind of transitioned from the 3 position to the forward position. Tough as nails, bruiser, sharp IQ, and he was a problem for anybody he faced. Kind of struggled shooting here and there, but like in practice, like we knew his capabilities. His freshman year, dude could shoot the lights out. Had a tough injury his freshman year. Sophomore year, wasn't shooting it great, but man, talk about right place, right time. 4 or 5 threes that game, catch and shoot, toe the line, in rhythm. And it just looked like he had been doing that his whole career. Perfect timing. And that's March for you, right?
Yeah.
Totally. I remember before that game, somebody asking Kelly Oubre about if he watched Wichita State, Indiana. And he said he was sleeping through it. And then when Zach Brown beat Kelly Oubre to that loose ball in the second half and dunked it, somebody asked Van Fleet about that play. And Van Fleet said something like, oh, he was sleeping on that play too.
Fred would never say that, would he?
Do you still stay in contact with Fred?
Yeah, here and there. Just thank God for social media and birthdays and kids, man. We text each other here and there. People always ask me if they're like surprised with his success. No. That dude is different. That is the winningest human being I think I've ever laid eyes on or been around. Like, you're not going to get in between him and success wherever he's going. And obviously it's showing.
Everybody we've talked to, well, I guess Zach, has said that same thing about Fred. He's just a winner. Obviously, the evidence is there.
Yeah, Fred was the one. Like, we'll play pickup sophomore, junior year, and him and I, we never were on the same team. Our sophomore, junior year, senior year, and pickup, him and I would always draft teams. And there was one evening, I had night class at like 7 o'clock on a Monday or Tuesday night, business law or something. And my team went 3-0. And after somebody hit the game winner, I just walked out of the multi-gym and headed down to the locker room. Showered, started walking to class, and I had 2 missed calls and 3 missed texts from Fred asking where the hell I went. Because that man wanted to play best of 7 real quick. Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't like losing, but, man, you give that guy anything that he wants to do, and his mission's to do it, and he's going to get it done.
You two had an extraordinary run. I think I was looking at it, 4 NCAA tournament appearances, a record of 121-24, averaging 30 wins a season. Has the university, I'm sure they have, has the university came to you about hanging up 31?
It's been brought to our attention. I don't know when that day's coming, but I would imagine now that Fred and I are in our 30s, he's got 3 kids, I got 2. I would assume, again, I haven't talked to him in a while, but probably want to do it together. This city probably deserves that. But I selfishly would love to do it so that my kids can see it and remember it. And I'm sure he would say the same. And I think that's probably where we're at right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's going to be a special night.
Yeah, it will be, man. I'll tell you, what's today, March 5th? Being in Coke Arena just under 2 weeks ago, watching Mike Kennedy's name and image get put up in the rafters. When you look up there, like, there's some names. One of those names has a statue out front. Like, that building, that university is a very special place. And the fact that you just asked me that question is surreal is not even the word. I grew up in Utica, Kansas. I had 6 kids in my 6th grade class.
Wow.
And I'm getting asked that question. And to be even next to some of the names up there or even considered is something, 1, didn't dream about, but 2, probably something my parents envisioned me being there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well,
That is.
You guys both deserve it.
You do. And it's like, I don't know, what was the last player put up there? Early 80s?
Probably.
Like, there's going to be a
Antoine, maybe?
a 30-year gap from playing careers.
Mm-hmm.
Once you guys get put up there. Like, what a job you guys did. Remarkable.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. Yeah, I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago, the 76 team had Cheese Johnson and a few others. There was 5 of those guys that came back for the reunion, which was incredible to reminisce with them. A few of them live in town too, which is awesome.
Cheese live in town?
Yeah, sure does. Yeah.
And Paul Miller and Kyle Wilson live in town.
Yep.
I see them at the Y.
Yep. But yeah, that 80s group, you're seeing their names up there. It's like those are names that my dad and uncle would talk about when I was playing, and I think they went to the Elite 8 maybe in the 80s. Quick story for you. I came to Wichita State on a visit in April. Met with Coach Chans, Coach Marshall with my parents. And on the drive back, we're almost to Great Bend, and my dad's like, "Man, son, that visit went pretty good." And I was like, "Yeah, it was really good." And he's like, "Dude, it's April. You gotta make a decision. Like, what are you gonna do? You gonna play baseball? Are you gonna what do you want to do?" I was like, "I want to play basketball." He's like, "Well, you got 2 offers. You got South Dakota State, you got Arkansas Little Rock, and Wichita State just had you on their campus." He's like, I have seen Wichita State almost win a national title in my lifetime. He's like, I've seen KU do the same. I've seen K-State be competitive. He's like, if you want to stay in state, if that's what you're wanting to do, stay close to home, then I think this is the right move for you. And he's like, what do you want? What do you want? I was like, well, I want to play in the NCAA tournament. I want to play close to home, and I want Bob Knight to know who I am. And he goes, it sounds like you're going to Wichita State. And then we turned left on 96 and went to Scott City and didn't talk about it ever again.
Tell your dad he's got a fan in me.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
And we checked all three of those boxes in my career. Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Nuts.
What a career, man. So then you signed with the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
Did you play in the D League for a little bit, or how did that all go down?
Yeah, so I signed, they call it, at the time, it was
Like a two-way?
No, it was before the two-way. They gave me a training camp invite, and they pay you some money, like, hey, we want you to come to camp. And there's 15 guys that make an NBA roster at the time. And they invited 18 to 20 guys. Get to New York. Again, still kind of wet behind the ears, like, never been here before, so let's just play hard and see how the dice fall.
Utica,
And-
New York City, or
Yeah.
A little
they're-
different.
same
I
thing?
mean, they're
Very
kind of similar. Very similar. There is a Utica, New York, but both towns are very drastically different. Played a couple preseason games, played well, and came down to like me and another guard, Chasen Randall, who played at Stanford, and then there was you guys remember the big guy for the Suns, Lou Munson, played with Steve Nash.
no?
White guy, had the ponytail.
Oh, I think it's Kelly Olynyk. White guy with a ponytail.
Anyway, it essentially came down to me and Chasen Randall playing out for the 15th roster spot. And one day I'm in the weight room just foam rolling, and our assistant GM walks in there, and his name's Jamie. He's like, hey, Ron, you got a second? I was like, yeah. Right now? He's like, yeah, come here. Jamie walks me down the hall at the Knicks facility, walk into the office of Phil Jackson and Steve Mills. At the time, one of them's the GM and one of them's the president of the Knicks organization. Sit down, and in my gut, I'm like, well, this is it. Either it's pretty much yes or no. And I sit down, and Phil Jackson looks me in the eyes, and he's like, Ron, we've been very impressed with you. We're moving you from the JV to the varsity.
How cool is hearing that from Phil Jackson?
Phil Jackson. I was like, sounds good. I'll be here tomorrow. Man, you want to talk about just a ride. Because you graduate in March, basically, your senior year. Go through all the combine. You go through all the workouts. And finally get to that date where you hear a president tell you made the team. The Knicks facility is in Terrytown, which is north of the city. And I left there in my Hyundai Sonata.
What year?
2016, brand new. 100,000 warranty, 10-year warranty. It's pretty nice. I'm leaving the facility after I shower and do whatever. And just like, all right, I guess I better call my mom. I don't even know what to do right now. Then I look at my phone. It's like 1 o'clock Eastern time. I'm like, shit, my mom's in school. Called her. She's like, hey, bud, what's up? I was like, I made the team. and she couldn't even say congrats. And my dad at the time was working for Farm Bureau in Dighton, Kansas. And she's like, have you told anybody? I was like, nope. Just driving back to my apartment. Thought I'd call you. She's like, oh my God. And then my mom and dad took the day off and went out in Scott City to the one of 3 restaurants and hung out.
Had a couple beers.
Maybe a few, as they should.
Where'd you live in New York?
Deservingly so.
Like an apartment the whole time?
Yeah, my first year I lived up north in the suburbs, and then my second year I moved to the city, 83rd and Broadway. So if you look at New York City on a map, the park runs north and south. It's kind of in the middle on the left side. So where Solely flew is playing into.
Oh, yeah.
I was in between that canal and Central Park on 83rd Street and Broadway.
Did you like living there?
I did enjoy it. Took a while. Different pace. Facility, like I said, is up north. So each day I'd wake up, drive about 30 minutes to practice, and then kind of going against traffic. Obviously, everybody's coming to the city, but in the morning I'm leaving the city, and kind of the same thing on the way home. The unique thing about New York is in a 20-block radius, I mean, it's all you can eat. You can literally find anything and everything you want. Walking distance. Fast walking distance. Straight chaos there. Different people trying to get A to B as quick as possible. But the neighborhood I lived in was the Upper West Side, so it was more neighborhoody. Kids walking to and from school. Pretty calm. Everybody thinks of Times Square and the chaos. I was 40 blocks north of there.
Did you just hang out with teammates? I mean, did you really know anyone there at the time other than the Knicks organization?
No. Kind of just team oriented. Luckily, my agency, CAA, was headquartered in New York and LA, so I got to meet some of the agents there. You for sure hang out with your teammates when it happens. But most guys, you show up at 8 a.m. to the facility. You see each other till 2 p.m. Occasionally, we'll go out to dinner here and there. But made some really good friendships with CAA Sports and their up-and-coming agents at the time. So I hung out probably majority of the time in New York with them. But it's kind of introverted. I didn't really want to go out in public a whole lot unless I was meeting family or friends. Kind of just like a 3-year business trip, if you will.
Mm-hmm. What was your career high in the NBA?
You got it pulled up back there? I think it's 16 at home versus Oklahoma City.
Oh,
Wow.
really?
I think so.
Had to do it against them, huh?
Yeah. And we won, so that makes me feel
Who was on
better.
Oklahoma City back then?
That was the Melo year. They made the trade.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That is
Good
cool,
for you. Did you guys
man.
win?
Yeah. We did win. Yeah. Had a good team. We actually had really solid team my rookie year. Battled through some injuries. D-Rose got hurt. Melo was banged up. Porzingis got banged up. And then the following year, man, I think we were like 3rd in the Eastern Conference through like 18 games. And then got the injury bug really quick, and kind of hard to replace 7'4" unicorn.
Right.
It's pretty tough to do. But yeah, that first year, guys. Imagine trying to make a team that has Brandon Jennings, Derrick Rose, Courtney Lee, Joakim Noah, Carmelo Anthony, Lance Thomas, and Porzingis on it. What am I doing here?
You belong there, man.
Yeah, you guys tell me what I need to do to fit in, and I'll do it. Surreal
That's
moment.
amazing.
Yeah. I mean, Mount Rushmores of the sport as your rookie teammates, pretty much. Incredible.
That is incredible.
You had quite the ride, man. What a unique story. Truly amazing.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah. I did want to get your thoughts on this year's team.
Okay.
They're playing their best ball of the season. They've been playing their best ball of the season for the past few weeks. First 20-win season in a while. They
Yep.
finish up with Florida Atlantic Saturday. If they win Saturday, they get a triple bye into the semifinals of the conference tournament. Kenyon Giles playing great. TJ Williams, love it. Great two-way player.
Yeah, we had Kuznard on like 2 months ago, 2 months ago. And this is like before the season really kind of started. And he said TJ Williams reminds him so much of himself. And it's so true. TJ Williams is such a Swiss Army knife.
TJ Williams reminds
PJ of himself.
Oh, dude, what a comparison.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, they're playing
Bulldog,
great.
plays hard. Definitely helps that TJ, being in our system, played point guard. I know he mentioned that on his show.
Mm-hmm.
He understands the game. You can see that when he plays. You ever want to see like a really athletic basketball player, like when the shot goes up? Most guys just like go stare at the rim and see where the ball's going. TJ Williams looks at the ball and understands like bounces, and like he's a finesse player, an art player is what I call him. Tremendous athlete. You mentioned 20th win
Yes.
this season. The first 20-win season for Shocker men's basketball in 6 years.
Wow.
2019-2020. Head coach Paul Mills, 54th win through his first 3 seasons at WSU, which, in 121 years of Shocker men's basketball and 30 head coaches in program history, ranks 5th all-time through 3 seasons, and the most since Eddie Fogler in 86.
Wow. Now that's a stat.
That is a stat. He's done a hell of a job this year.
First 3 seasons is at 50. This was after the previous game. 54th win in 3 years.
Wow. The staff deserves a lot of credit, especially with the bigs. They have Okorafor and Will Berg playing great.
Yeah,
And they've improved. You can
I think-
see it.
Yeah, they're definitely improving. There was a roller coaster stint there early in the year, down in Atlantis. Probably dropped for sure 1, if not 2 games. But then it's starting to steady out, and they're finding their identity. Shoot, man, I think they're top 5 in the country in offensive rebounding.
They are.
Which is a huge stat, especially if you can score when those happen.
Yep.
Defensive rebounding is pretty important in today's game, even though it seems to be more fast-paced, high-scoring. I do enjoy the makeup of the American tournament with the triple bye system. If you want to play in the Sun Belt League, you can get like a 6, 7, 8 round bye. I don't know if you've seen that bracket. It's pretty crazy. Literally, if you're the top 2 teams in that conference tournament, you get like a 5 to 6 game bye, and you're in the semis.
Wow.
So
Makes the regular season worth something, I guess.
Feels like
correct.
the
If you're gonna play for something in
Right.
the regular season, and as a conference commissioner, you want your best teams to represent you in the tournament. So yeah, this game, today's March 5th, so they play this weekend on the 7th. FAU kind of boat raced them at their place.
Yes.
Need to win this, get the 2 seed, and I'm not going to say it, but if they can make the tournament, they're a tough matchup.
Kenyon Giles is just built for March.
Yes, he is.
Correct.
He's built to break someone's heart.
Yep.
Taylor Eldridge has been all over this. It's called the KG assist. Have you read this? So they rebound and put back his misses at a super high rate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's credit to Berg and Okorafor, but I think it's largely because teams send 2 at Giles too. So it's a perfect storm. If he stays aggressive, they play great. FAU, they beat us by 28 there. Giles only had 5 shots, I think.
Yep.
If he stays aggressive, man, it works out for everybody.
Yeah, I think
TJ drives the lane.
Yeah. Boyd's kind of come to his own. Everybody thought he was going to be this outstanding defender, which he's solid. Was really good in the Sycon league, I think, at East Tennessee State. I mean, they definitely have the pieces. I think it's just a matter of can someone else score when needed with Giles. And I think in the front court, I think we're solid. I think Berg's probably the last 7-footer we've had in a while that is as good as we've seen since probably Stutz. Skilled.
Yeah.
Over 7 feet, mind you.
And he's been shooting it well from the free throw line
That helps.
recently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's huge. The whole team's been shooting it way better than they were
Yeah.
earlier in the year when they were horrendous from the line. But now they're hitting their free throws too.
Yeah, we went to that. We went to the game where they recognized the 3 conference conference champions from the 3 decades. And there was close to 8,000 people in there. I think it's a matter of time before we see Coke where it's used to.
Could be Saturday.
It's coming. I think it'll be this Saturday.
Could be. They're hosting one of PJ's guys from his AAU program in Houston.
I've seen that. Yeah.
He's the number 8 overall recruit in the class.
Yeah.
He's got like 30 offers, but he's got the PJ connection. You never know.
You never know. I mean, you don't just take a visit somewhere unless you're interested. You don't do it for fun. So there's probably a reason we hired PJ Kuznard. Probably really good at basketball, probably really good at knowing basketball, and probably really good at recruiting, you think?
Probably.
Yeah.
Great hire in my book.
Yeah.
Well, man, what have you been up to lately? Swinging the golf club?
3 things, man. Family, of course, work, and playing a lot of golf.
Good for you.
I've been seeing on Wichita Business Journal and Splurge magazine had articles about you switching jobs.
Yep. I was with Via Christi when I retired, working with their sport medicine group for 4 years. And then in August, I transitioned with a brokerage out of Western Kansas, real estate agency, Hayden Outdoors. And it's been a good fit for me. It kind of ties me back into my small town roots. Brokerage kind of focuses on rural properties, so farm, ranch, hunting, call them rec properties, hobby farms. And then probably 10% of their business is still residential and commercial, just like any other agency here in town.
You bird hunt?
I'm a pheasant guy.
You are?
Yeah, we grew up hunting a lot of pheasant in Utica. Yep. Other than that, that's about it. Once sports started, kind of the deer hunting and really pheasant hunting kind of went out the window. But yeah, we go back to Utica every year for opening pheasant season. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets good out there.
It's been kind of down lately, but this year was so-so. It was windy and
what do
dry,
they
but
need for a good pheasant season? Do they
moisture.
need more? It's moisture?
Yeah.
During the wintertime?
Not necessarily. It's more through like the dry season. Yeah. So like spring, summer, anytime you get a really bad drought, birds are nesting and kills them off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just been pretty dry. 2022, really bad drought. That did a number, and then it usually takes a few years for the ecosystem to get back to normal. But we've seen a few birds this year in Ness County, which is where Utica is.
Good.
So hopefully on the up there, we'll see.
It's fun. They're beautiful birds.
fun.
Pheasant are beautiful birds.
They're fun to hunt, especially if you got a good dog. And
Mm-hmm.
Utica, I don't know if you guys seen it on the map, but there's I don't know,
Can't miss it.
100 people in town, and you could probably imagine how a opening pheasant season goes out there. You just
I bet.
reminisce with the boys and go hunting for birds and try not to piss off Grandpa.
Surely no alcohol.
Nah, it just depends. You know, usually you run into a few 12-ouncers and you got to take care of them.
Too funny, Ron. My final question for you. From Scott City or Utica, Kansas, to Madison Square Garden, when you think about your journey, what sticks out to you the most?
What sticks out to me the most about my journey is probably the people that I've met. You know, guys, you play basketball your whole life, and for me, my career lasted 8 to 9 years. Was it great? Hell yeah, that shit was awesome. Incredible. But meeting the people I did and being able to say I know teammates, coaches, my family's family friends from college, or my brother's teammates from Emporia State that came to a game, or my sister's friends from K-State that came to a game, and like all the people I had the chance to be around and meet, like that has probably fulfilled me the most.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tremendous.
Yeah. You know, wins are great. Jersey in the rafter someday is great. But none of it would mean anything unless you're happy with the people you know and love around you and the people you met.
That's great perspective.
Yep.
Man, this was awesome. Thank you for taking the time.
Yep.
You got anything, Troy?
No, fantastic.
Ron, you
No,
got
this
anything
is
for us, man?
this is great, man. I wish you guys well on your show, and it's great you're doing this and put up with me for. We've done this for like 3 hours now, haven't we?
What are we at? Maybe half of that? Hour 40.
Hour 40.
No, this is great, dude. You guys keep it up, and Wichita needs stuff like this.
Thank you.
man.
Everybody enjoys hearing stories, and Wichita's a great place. My wife and I live in Andover with our 2 daughters, and we're not going anywhere. We're nearby. Love this city and the people in it, and people need to know and hear stories, whether it's mine, Joe Hours, Zach Bush's, Eldridge's, PJ's. Yeah, keep doing this, man. This is great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, for
Thank
sure.
you. We will. There's just a lot of interesting people in Wichita that make it easy for us.
You guys gonna have Mr. Beast on in the future? Where did he go to high school? I seen he's from here.
He from here.
I think he moved at a young age.
Is he an Army kid or?
I don't know, but that blew me away. I found that not too long ago,
Was that
too.
on Wichita Life or
Yeah.
something?
Yep.
I was like, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. Whoa,
Yeah, no kidding.
Mr. Beast, come on now.
Yeah. The most famous YouTuber in the world, born in Wichita.
Man, you get him on the show. This basement's about to pop off.
I would need
Yeah.
I need somebody to pull a few strings to make that happen.
Holy moly,
That'd be pretty wild.
nuts!
But anyways,
Yeah, great job, guys. That was cool.
thank
Thank
you,
you.
man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And we'll hope for a win on Saturday.
Yeah.
it's coming. I got a good feeling.
Yep. Lock up the triple bye and be 80 minutes away from the tournament. 80 quality minutes away
Literally.
from the tournament.
Literally, maybe not even 80. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Ron.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, Ron.